bought a brand new dress. I spent 2 hours on my hair and makeup. And then for another hour, I smiled and posed for photos. This year, I had a date, an athlete, and an all-around great guy. Maybe you've been here before. Smiling for photos, looking happy, and then posting the photos to social media for the world to see. The crazy thing is, I didn't actually go to the party. After these photos were taken, I made up an excuse or two, and I insisted on being alone. I stayed home crying by myself because I didn't feel beautiful. Feeling confident in my body is something I've struggled with a lot. Feeling beautiful is something that I'm working on. My point, though, and the important point that I hope you understand, is that based on this photo, I was a happy young woman about to go out and make memories. As far as my mom was concerned, I found a dress, I had a date, and all was well. If you were to judge who I am solely based on my Instagram, you would have an inaccurate idea of what my life is like. Instagram is not always what it seems.
For decades, Sesame Street has taught us to relate, to find commonality, to be accepting, encouraging, and inclusive. These were the building blocks for our youth, relating to one another. But times have changed. Now, we live in the era of social media, constantly and endlessly comparing ourselves to one another, our bodies, our lives, and our relationships, measuring our happiness by likes and followers. Does it matter? Is comparing ourselves harmful?
We think so, and so do many others. The United Kingdom's Royal Society for Public Health is concerned that social media may be fueling a mental health crisis in young people. They link social media to the 70% increase in anxiety and depression over the last 25 years. I repeat, crisis. Not a mental health problem, but a crisis.
Before we go on, let's make sure we're on the same page. Different ages use and interact with Instagram differently. For example, if we were all to pull out our phones right now, what you would see on your account would be very different from what I would see, because it all depends on who you follow. I'm going to take the guess the majority of you don't follow hundreds of young women.
But I do. When I go on Instagram, I'm overwhelmed by photos of girls my age, many of which are posed and perfected versions of my friends and mere acquaintances. What a teenage girl sees on Instagram is drastically different from what the average adult sees. And over time, scrolling through these photos can really take a toll on your self-esteem.
Maybe this concept helps. It's kind of like comparing your house at this very moment, probably with dogs, cats, dirty dishes, and laundry, to the award-winning dream homes in magazines. This comparison is not only unrealistic, but it's extremely unfair. My name's Keisha, and this is my sister Teagan, my twin sister. Growing up, I labeled Teagan as a skinny twin.
And honestly, I thought everyone liked Keisha more.
Yet, we were both thin, smiling, happy girls. We were actually more alike than we were different.
As twins and best friends, we grew up understanding just how destructive these comparisons can be. And yet, come university, we continue to compare our lives and bodies to those in the photos we saw on Instagram.
We deemed Instagram a university necessity, despite knowing deep down that it was probably going to affect our self-esteem, body image, and even our general happiness.
Were we the only ones who felt this way? Well, with a quick Google search, we found numerous studies that link social media, especially Instagram, to increasing levels of anxiety, depression, loneliness, and body image issues in young women. But Could our friends really be feeling this way too?
No, no way. There's no way, because when we go on Instagram, what we see are happy, beautiful, and confident people. There's no way that these girls are going through the same thing that we are. Yet the more we researched and Googled, the more concern we felt. For instance, renowned psychologist Jean Twenge links increases in teenage depressive symptoms and suicide rates to social media. And she had two main findings. One, the amount of time that you spend on social media matters. And two, teenage girls are more negatively affected than teenage boys. So, we sat down with our friends and we told them what we were going through. And I'm sure you're probably not surprised to hear that the majority of them felt the same way.
Long story short, we founded Live Life Unfiltered, a social media movement designed to improve the Instagram experience for young women. We've interviewed hundreds of women across Canadian campuses, and almost all of them admit that scrolling through Instagram affects them negatively, causing them to feel lonely, insecure, anxious, and sometimes even depressed. Many of them admit that they feel compelled to using filters and have become hooked on getting likes and followers.
I think the biggest surprise for Teagan and I was how many young women admitted to using Photoshop regularly. Basically, there's new apps that allow us to digitally alter the way we look with just a few clicks. I could go in right now, and in a few moments, I could have a photo of myself with longer legs, a thinner waist. I could remove acne, remove a fat roll, or I could even give myself that perfectly round butt that everyone is talking about.
Now, these issues aren't new. We've been comparing ourselves to photoshopped images forever. I'm sure many of us have been in a grocery store where we opened up a magazine, scanning through pages of perfectly photoshopped, beautiful people. But what if you opened up these magazines and the photos were of your friends? How would this make you feel about your own body?
Well, this is essentially what the Instagram experience is. Except when we're in a store, we can put the magazine down and walk away. But we can't really do that with our phones. We take them with us everywhere. It's just part of our culture. Think back 20 to 30 years ago about the alarming research of comparing yourselves to Photoshop models in magazines. Well, new studies suggest that comparing ourselves to the edited and perfected versions of our friends is far worse, much more damaging to our mental health.
We should be concerned. 72% of teens are on Instagram. 68% of the 1 billion Instagram users are women. Scrolling through our feed, looking at the altered, unattainable body images is not healthy. And what's more, what about the young women who are becoming addicted to altering the way they look?
Let's just stop and think about this for a second. We all have insecurities. Mine is my legs. Let's say that I start to Photoshop my legs on Instagram. If I do this on Monday, I'm probably going to do it on Thursday and Saturday too. Once I start presenting this altered cyber self, how do I stop? Especially after the affirmation of 300 likes. To be clear, there's nothing wrong with wanting to feel beautiful and confident after you post a photo. But if you're filtering or photoshopping excessively, then the likes and comments you're receiving on your post aren't actually being directed at you, but your altered cyber self. So what is this going to do to your own personal insecurities? How will this affect your body image and self-esteem? How will this make you feel when you're talking to me in person? But even if you're not photoshopping, research still links taking a selfie, just the act of taking a selfie, with significantly lower body satisfaction, striving for thinness, eating disorders, and especially bulimia. The more time you spend taking a selfie and editing it, the less satisfied you're going to become with your own body.
Parents used to worry about the influence of Barbie's proportions. Well, we have to ask, have you seen the photos your daughters are scrolling through every day? Instagram's only been around for 10 years, and yet the research is flooding in. Instagram, more than any other social media platform, is negatively affecting our mental health.
As part of Live Life Unfiltered, we've created an account designed to remind women that we all have insecurities, bad days, and pimples, despite what social media may portray. We want to bring back perspective to Instagram. Each day, we post an unfiltered photo and a quote from a young woman who wants to help improve social media for others.
This young woman shares that, like her friends, she photoshops and poses in many of her photos. She says that when she sees a beautiful picture on Instagram, she wishes she could look like that, even though she knows it's been photoshopped. This next woman talks about how she sometimes feels anxious before posting to social media. These are just two examples. We've heard these stories hundreds of times, and it's getting really tiring. These issues are real and prevalent.
Instagram isn't going anywhere. With over 1 billion active users, it's here to stay. And it is an amazing way to stay connected. But what if we could improve the Instagram experience? Could we balance the perfected photos with unfiltered ones? Last year, we ran a campaign to do just this. It was called the As She Is Challenge, where young women are encouraged to post an unfiltered photo to our hashtag, #AsSheIs.
This is a typical post from one participant's Instagram account. Clearly, she's beautiful. But on the day of the challenge, this is the photo she chose to post. Vulnerable and courageous, she talks about her facial acne and her use of filters to cover it up. This young woman's willingness to be unfiltered made a real impact on her followers, and admittedly, also herself. From our experience, when young women are willing to be vulnerable, they express a sense of relief, freedom from accepting and admitting that they have insecurities.
The fact is, Instagram is affecting us negatively. The research is real, and we've really just skimmed the surface.
The first step is acknowledging the need for change. We have. We're now less filtered both on and offline.
On Instagram, I've stopped filtering my photos, and honestly, it's made my experience a lot more enjoyable.
For me, I've started being less filtered in my everyday life, beginning with vocalizing my insecurities. Through greater acceptance of my own body, I compare myself less to others, and it's made a real impact. Today, I'm wearing heels, something I never imagined I would do, and it's pretty cool.
But don't just take our word for it. Have the discussions, talk to your friends, and talk to your daughters. How is Instagram making you feel? And for some of us, these comparisons will be subconscious. So try monitoring your own emotions as you scroll.
The good news is, we can make change. We don't have to take on Instagram. Social media has played a role in the way Keisha and I have felt in our own bodies. We've struggled to feel as beautiful as we thought others looked. But what's unique about our story? What makes our story worthy of the TEDx stage?
Nothing. Our story is not unique, and that's why it needs to be shared. Our story might be the story of your daughter, your son, or your friends. Our story might even be your story. Thank you.